Hello, 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 hello. I hope all is well with everyone. I'm trying to hurry up and get here for you guys because I'm trying to be consistent, okay? And y'all know, as usual, the children always need everything when you're trying to show up. So, how is everybody doing? Welcome to the Literacy Reset. Today is going to be good. If you saw the thumbnail, then you know we are talking about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln had less than 1 year of formal schooling, less than 1 year. Not structured curriculum, no modern resources, no guided reading programs, and yet he became one of the most powerful communicators in American history. Not because he had access, but because he built discipline. Welcome back to the Literacy Reset, 30 days of raising architects. Today, we reset expectations because flexibility without discipline produces drift. And drift never builds leaders. Welcome back to the reset. All right, so let me get into it and get this up here so we can see Brother Abe. Okay, now that is very powerful, right? Because here is a man that becomes not only a leader, but our president, or at least one of our presidents, who is given, well, he was given some flack. It depends on who you talk to, right? Which political circle you're dealing with. However, he is a martyr in history because of the things that he was pushing to do and those who he became friends with on the back end. I don't know if people know about his relationship that he had with Frederick Douglass. There is strife between what he was able to do, what he wanted to do, and what he did it for. And I'll leave it at that because that's not my focus. My focus is today is to think of Abe as the child and what Abe went through to build the skills that he needed to even get into that space. And so let's jump right back into it. Lincoln grew up, hold on, I didn't realize y'all wasn't with me there. Hold on. Lincoln grew up in poverty on the frontier. Books were scarce, formal education was inconsistent, opportunities were limited, but he was obsessed with reading. He borrowed books whenever he could. He walked miles to access them. He read by firelight. He copied passages by hand. He practiced writing relentlessly. He didn't just read for exposure, he read for mastery. He didn't just write occasionally, he refined his language intentionally. His speeches weren't accidental brilliance, they were the product of repetition and discipline. Now, let's think about this for a second. He had less than 1 year of formal schooling. Yet his literacy depth shaped history. Why? Because he built habits. And I'm also going to add in here, he built stamina. And I know I touched on this on one of the earlier episodes, but building stamina and building the discipline to create that stamina is super important when we are addressing literacy. And I always feel like people gotta like brush past it. And I'm like, no, don't brush past it, because we've adapted this culture of you get the sticker for participation, you get the sticker for this reward. You're always being rewarded for something, right? And there's layers to that. And I think there needs to be a structure around that. However, I'm going to say if we always give in and cave in at anything that the kids may want, then I don't know if we're really doing them a great service. Now, that's my opinion. You can do what you want to do with your opinion. But I'm going to say over here, I believe in building stamina. And that looks like small increments on a day-to-day basis. It's not something that you just launch straight into. Every child is not built for that. You got to know your child, which is why you got to know their learning style in order to build for them. Then you develop the habit. And then from the habit and the discipline of that habit, we begin to have mastery. And with the mastery skills, then now we are walking into excellency, and we are going into the pathway of that's designed for us. Okay, because I want to make sure everybody's still following what I'm saying. Now, the hidden design principle for this that I want everyone to really kind of take in is literacy discipline builds intellectual authority. Literacy discipline builds intellectual authority. One thing's for certain and two things for sure. Once you know something, no one can take that away from you. It's another reason why I push heavy on advocacy for the youth and for education and learning, not only just for a moment, but being a lifelong learner. Talent matters, environment matters, structure matters, but discipline is what will multiply all of it. In modern homeschooling, we sometimes lean so heavily into flexibility that we lose rigor. And now I might be stepping on people's toes. You might have felt uncomfortable hearing me say that. Some teachers may even feel uncomfortable hearing me saying that. We celebrate creativity, we protect curiosity, we align structure. But do we build discipline? Daily reading, daily writing, revision, reflection, repetition. Architects understand something very critical. Load-bearing beams require reinforcement. Load-bearing beams require reinforcement. Literacy is that beam. If your child reads inconsistently, if writing happens only when assigned, if revision feels optional, the foundation is weakened. Lincoln didn't read when he felt inspired. He read consistently. He didn't write only when required. He practiced deliberately. Discipline turns potential into capacity. The reason why children are burning out, it isn't just because they don't like the content or any of those things. Don't trust me. Those are smaller pieces to a bigger puzzle here. But it's also because they don't have the discipline to have the stamina to take things on. Kids give up and it's like, okay, don't worry about it. You don't have to do that. Don't worry about it. We're just going to leave that alone. And now I don't have a problem if you say we need to take a break. That's different from we're not going to do that right now. That's different from, oh, you don't have to do this at all. Right? That's different. And so we need to know how to build discipline into potential to create the capacity, because that's what our babies need. When you're getting older or they're getting older, right? You have to have the stamina, especially if your child is thinking about going to college or anything of that magnitude. You have to have the stamina to read all of that content. You have to have the stamina to do all the writing and debriefing, discussions, and answering the questions for it too. If we are talking about real learning, I'm not saying put your kids on AI right now and let AI answer for them. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, how do we build depth? And you don't build depth without having discipline, without having the rigor. And this is a real conversation that a lot of people like to skip past. But we're not skipping passing it over here. We're not skip passing it over here. We're holding it down over here because I think that it is a major piece to the conversation. To the conversation. And so now, how do we actually apply this so that our children are getting exactly what they need from us, even if that's in small chunks by daily routines? This is how you establish this reset. You establish a non-negotiable daily reading block. It's not optional, not mood dependent. Even 30 to 45 minutes of focused reading builds cognitive endurance. If there's any way, and I've suggested this to parents over the years, form your own little book club within your home. If you're in a co-op or they're doing group learning of some sort, bring the group in, introduce it to them that way. This way they're doing it with other people and they know that they have to come to the table with something. Let me add a little story here. One of the ways that I would build depth in the classroom was this. First of all, if I'm teaching anything new, I had to make sure all of the students knew what that content was. Not master it, but knew what it was. I did not believe in doing group work until we had the independent part done. I needed you to feel comfortable and confident in what you knew so that when you now got to the group, you wasn't the person. Come on now, we all been in school before. When you got to do a group project, there's that one child who's not really doing their part. I never wanted none of my students to be that child or have that inconsistency or that discrepancy within themselves. Like, I don't measure up to sit at this table. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Not only do you measure up to sit at this table, you have insight, you have input, you have voice, and you are valid. But we get there by doing the work. And so when we did our independent work, we're going through it. You make the mistakes, that's okay, that's fine. But here's the topic. This is what we're discussing. This is what we're doing. And then now we can talk about it as a group. Now we can build on this as a group. Now we can do a project together as a group. You see, people are forgetting that people learn through discussion and by doing. And if there's nothing for you to do because I'm allowing you to opt out, then how are we even building discipline at all? I think this is a very key point and a very, very important conversation that must be continuous. If for anyone, I don't care if you're at home, if you're in school, you're in an after school program, whatever it is. How are we building the stamina and the critical thinkers and advocating for voice all in one setting? Let me keep going, child, because I can preach on that one thing. Okay. Incorporate copy work strategically. Choose powerful passages. Have your child copy them. Discuss sentence structure. Analyze vocabulary. Lincoln copied speeches. He studied language patterns. Remember this, Brian? He only had schooling for 1 year. So he was going to do whatever he had to do to get an understanding of it. And he was determined. And that determination went with the discipline. How can you use a powerful passage in your space? A powerful story. Be relatable. All of these babies have interests. Start with the interest, especially for those of us in the homeschool space. Let's find out something new about it. And one thing I used to even tell my staff, the children will not be excited about something you're not excited about. We can't do that. If you come in dragging and you look like you don't care, that teaches them to be the same way. So we have to be mindful of even on that. And if they also don't see us having a structure and a little bit of discipline in our life, they mimic us. And that goes even for the classroom, because I don't want that to fly over nobody's head. This is all the same. We're all working with children in some form or fashion. Then build writing stamina. I love writing. I was not a multiple choice type child. I still don't like multiple choice. I can get it. I do it. I mean, obviously now, right? But as a child, no. I was able to express exactly what the content was about, go in depth through writing. And that's probably why I can teach it well, right? Because we always teach from our strong points. Let's be honest here, okay? I'm all about honesty. And so for me, teaching writing over the last 15 years has been phenomenal because it's telling children to advocate for yourselves, advocate for your thoughts, advocate for what you see here in this content. They're bringing something to the table. Most times people feel defeated because they don't think they have anything to offer. And you don't have anything to offer because you don't have anything to pull purpose from. Oh, that's a master class. That's a whole different class. Whole different class. But in order to build the writing stamina, you do short daily prompts, let them do journaling, reflection responses, summaries of reading, not just once a week. Also, I like to add in, because I tell parents this all the time, let them write letters. If they have a favorite TV show, let them write about that. What happened in the show? Who were the main characters? What did they do? How did they do it? Right? Then, if we are watching a movie, who were the characters there? What was the plot? What was the theme? Where was the setting? What was happening here? Walk me through it. If there's something that they needed to know or they learn how to do, first grade here in New York is known for how to's, right? We teach a lot of how to's, how to plant, how to write a book, how to make a sandwich, how to whatever. They can do that as well. Children love replaying the teachers for the moment. If you can grant them that opportunity, it's one of the best things that you can do for them to help aid their learning and build their confidence. And that is where the stamina comes from. And so it could be write a couple sentences about this. Frequently. Teach revision. Not good job, move on. Teach clarity, organization, stronger word choice. Excellence is edited. Architects refine before they reveal. And I always try to encourage too, don't get caught up in perfection, because that was one of my short ends, right? No, it got to be perfect before we do it. No. Sometimes there's points where you got to just get it out. I'm live. See, life be happening, y'all. Now, let's get into the shift. This is where we separate casual homeschooling from intentional design. Flexibility without discipline leads to inconsistency. Discipline without flexibility leads to burnout. But aligned discipline builds leaders. Lincoln wasn't exceptional because he had perfect schooling. He was exceptional because he practiced literacy intentionally and repeatedly. You are not just raising readers, you are raising thinkers. Thinkers require stamina. Stamina requires discipline. Oops. Okay. And so, if today made you realize that literacy in your home or in your setting feels inconsistent, that's not a judgment, that's an opportunity. Inside the Offer as Homeschool Clarity Roadmap, we walk through designing daily literacy blocks, structuring discipline without rigidity, aligning standards with capacity, mapping your year intentionally. So your child doesn't just drift through reading, they develop strength. If you're ready to move from flexibility alone to aligned discipline, the link is below. This is the literacy reset. And today we reset the standards. I will see you guys tomorrow in episode 5. Also, before I end off, you know that the school group is open. I did have to put some edits in there, and I do want to take this opportunity to really share that I'm going to be uploading 2 different types of courses inside that space, right? One is going to be about the confident reader and writer, and the other one is about the architect parent. And so I'm so happy to be able to share those things with you. I'm building them out as we speak. I was building it out before I came on, which is also why I was a little delayed. But these are going to be game changers. And these are going to help set you and your family apart and build with confidence and clarity and easiness. And so, yes, that is it for today, you guys. If anybody has questions, you can see the email is up there. Also, again, the links are in the descriptions, and I will see you again tomorrow in episode 5. Have a great day.